What do live-action adaptations of anime and video games have in common? Well, as you would correctly guess, the answer is quite simple. There is a very common misconception that there's a supposed curse around them, despite the fact that there are just as many good adaptations in comparison to bad ones that have been around for a long while. No? Just me? Well, I'm here to talk about a movie that manages to do both at the same time in an effort to create its own bizarre mishmash of the two. This is Future Cops, directed by Hong Kong film director Wong Jing. Jing started his career as a writer for Television Broadcast Limited before moving on to become a writer for Shaw Brothers in films like Challenge of the Gamesters, where he would make his directorial debut, and as of 2003 he worked on more than 175 films with different companies, such as his very own Wong Jing's Workshop and B.O.B. Partners. His filmography includes God of Gamblers with Chow Yun-fat and Andy Liu, and more notably his 1993 adaptation of Tsukasa Hojo's manga City Hunter starring Jackie Chan. You know, the one where he's dressed like Chun-Li with Kenshiro dressed as Ken. Wong Jing's signature style is often interpreted as loud, over the top, and can just be flat out ridiculous and insane. And in the case of his 1993 sci-fi martial arts action adventure Future Cops, also known as Super School Tyrant, yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Though it's also worth noting that this was during a time in the 90s where his films weren't exactly performing to expectations, to say the least. So Jing was struggling to experiment and get his footing again. The plot of the film goes that General, aka Not M. Bison, played by Ken Lo, has been arrested and awaits trial. However, a gang of generals consisting of Ken, Sagat, and Kent, Tai King, and Toyota, played by Ekin Cheng, Billy Chow, and William Duen, plots to time travel back to 1993 to kill the judge so that General Bison can go free. It's not long before a band of heroes consisting of Ryu, Vega, Guile, Lung, Timan, Broomhead, and Singh, played by Aaron Kwok, Andy Liu, Jackie Cheung, and Simon Yam, are sent back in time to stop them and protect the judge. This judge in question is a college student named Chan Ti-hung, played by Dickie Chung, who is unfortunately met with some pretty bad luck. The rest of the film mainly consists of a lot of slapstick humor, which is honestly pretty funny if you ask me. There's a lot of exaggerated comedy too, like when Ti-hung is sweating profusely whenever he's alone with a girl. And of course the over-the-top martial arts action, and plenty of other highlights, like when the movie suddenly decides to become a live-action adaptation of Super Mario Bros. This happens when Timan takes Ti-hung's sister on a date to the arcade. There's also the moment where the heroes apply at Ti-hung's college. It's pretty great. Funny enough, this is actually the second time Street Fighter has ever been depicted in a live-action film. First being Wong Jing's City Hunter, which was also in '93, meaning these films predate the actual live-action Street Fighter movie from '94. And better yet, there's a scene in this movie where the bullies are playing an actual Street Fighter 2 arcade machine. Look, I know what you're thinking. This movie looks like garbage. It's cheesy, cheaply made, but here's the thing. One of the reasons Wong Jing worked on so many films in his lifetime is that he opted for methods that would reduce shooting costs. And let's put this into perspective. Future Cops is a very special effects heavy film. There's a lot of set pieces that are simply there to get totally trashed by the stunt actors, and that ain't cheap. In fact, all the genuinely best shots in the film, at the very least the most memorable ones, all have something that involves interacting with the setting. And this is because there is a great emphasis on the impact of the action, the aftermath if you will. And you know what, it's honestly some pretty great stuff, and as a result you're left with drama scenes that are such a stark contrast and come off as cartoony, though I'm fairly certain that was the intent, especially with how comedy is easier to direct than, say, action with elaborate stunt work and set pieces. And in addition to this, these drama scenes don't have a lot of technical complexity to them, so you have a product that, on one hand, yeah, it's cheaply made with obvious cost-cutting measures when you get down to it, like general speaking what looks to be telepathically, but there's a sense of earnestness that you honestly can't help but love and appreciate what's before you. Despite its low-budget nature, there is genuine love and passion behind the making of this project. I mean, think about it. This is a movie where Goku battles M. Bison in what's basically the same plot as Terminator 2. Name me one person who legitimately does not like that idea. Best comparison I can think of is the anime adaptation of Getorobo Arc, a very touching show that feels like a huge love letter to the work of series creator Ken Ishikawa, filled with passion and respect for what the story and its ideas meant to people. and even going as far as to expand upon its already compelling message. It's just unfortunate that they clearly did not have the budget for such an ambitious project. So much that it's honestly a miracle that it exists in the first place. Now, granted, I'm not quite the expert on martial arts cinema as I want to be, don't worry, I'm still working my way through. So I decided to bring a good friend here. Take it away, Dr. Mifune.
Thank you, TitanGoji. As my good buddy explained earlier, Wong Jing is sort of infamous for his sometimes over-the-top visual style, stories, and humor that at the same time makes his films really unique and often endearing. I kind of see him as a sort of mix of Roger Corman and Michael Bay within the realm of Hong Kong cinema. Like Corman, he produced, wrote, and directed films at an astonishing rate, especially within the 80s and 90s. Ranging from star-studded, crowd-pleasing films to more exploitation-style works. While, like Bay, his humor and style have often been criticized by critics and sometimes other directors as crass and lowbrow, but at the same time often gets positive reception from audiences. Future Cops is Wong Jing at his most zany and charming, taking a bunch of different elements from films like The Terminator, anime like Doraemon and Dragon Ball Z, and of course video games like Street Fighter 2 and Super Mario, and wraps them all up with plentiful gags, jokes, and legitimately spectacular action sequences. TitanGoji had previously mentioned that the sets get torn apart by the action, and I think the best of these sequences is the fight at the convenience store. All of this is done for real. You have a store set that just gets blown apart and cars that go flying, all while the actors engage in thrilling combat. Considering that this is Wong Jing, I have no doubt this film was made for as efficiently as possible in terms of budget and time, but damn, the man knows how to make the most out of every prop and set that he has. The end fight is a barrage of incredible stunts, wire work, and combat that absolutely is wild and a treat to see. We get to see Wong Jing regular Qing Mei Yao and Kingdom Yuan King Dun simultaneously don Chen-Li's attire to battle not Sagat, played by Billy Chow of Dragons Forever and Fist of Legend fame, the late great comedy legend Richard Ng going green as Not Blanca, and I cannot end this without gushing about how spot on the casting of Ken Lo as not M. Bison is. For those who don't know, Ken typically plays tough henchmen, notably in Jackie Chan films, and here he gets to be the big bad. A full year before he would reunite with Jackie Chan for one of the greatest on-screen duels in cinema history in the climax of Drunken Master 2. So yeah, Ken Lo, one of the most underrated badasses in action history. Future Cops may be too wild for some, but for me it's one of those films that goes so crazy and over the top, but manages to stick the landing. Wong Jing indulges in his craziest stylistic trademarks and it pays off in spades. Future Cops is just such an unforgettable experience, and while it doesn't beat Super Mario Bros. As the first live-action video game-based film, though technically the sequence in Wong Jing City Hunter does, it is one of the best, if not the best and most entertaining video game to film out there. I gotta thank my good buddy TitanGoji for inviting me on here to help spread the word of the film that just might be Wong Jing's magnum opus.
Anytime, Mifune. Sorry for pushing this video back for 3 years. So yeah, Future Cops is pretty wild. Charming special effects with some insane camera work, stunt work, and editing, all put together by a flawed but endearing story with funny characters and really ridiculous dialogue. Over the years, it's accumulated a cult status, and it's precisely for the reasons explained earlier. I distinctly remember watching this movie in college, only for my roommate to walk in just totally confused, asking me, "Dude, what the hell is this?" and then proceeded to watch it with me. It was a fun time. I'm not quite a fan of the expression "so bad it's good," as I feel it should be reserved for films that lack a sense of awareness of what it is. Future Cops is a movie that totally knows what it is and has as much fun with it as possible. And with 2023 marking its 30th anniversary, as well as video game adaptations becoming almost as mainstream as comic book movies these days, there's no better time to check it out. You will not regret it. But what do you guys think? Have you seen Future Cops? What's your favorite live-action video game and/or anime adaptation? Drop a comment below, and I want to give a very special shout out to my channel members and my supporters on Patreon, so if you like what you see, then consider supporting the channel with a link in the description, where for at least $1 you can get access to my Discord server, and you can also unlock other perks like early access to videos and exclusive content. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is TitanGoji, signing off. Oh, and literally as we were writing this, it's been announced that Street Fighter is due for yet another live-action adaptation helmed by Legendary. Honestly, the only way it's ever going to work is if they get Scott Adkins to play M. Bison. Also, Ken Kosuke as Ryu.